that one that never got any water.
It does okay.
It looks fine.
I
With the
know.
drought we had, and
Yeah.
There were
it's
4 that
kinda-
got watered and 1 that didn't.
Yeah,
And
it's kind of like those ones that were out at the fairgrounds. You know,
Oh,
they thought,
yeah.
There's no way those suckers were gonna make it. And
we're still
they
there.
did.
that is,
You know, it's
I
like-
know. I was like,
that's probably my single favorite stretch because they're like 5 in a row along Syker. That,
where it needed it so bad.
Yeah.
and so when I drive by there, it makes me happy.
And
'Cause
we need
it's-
about 30 more trees around
Well, I made a few notes because today I drove down because I was doing a loop East Hamtramck. You been on that recently?
there. No, I know.
I go on it every day.
Yeah.
It
It's a
doesn't-
terrible street. There's some real shady people.
Hamtramck and.
Oh, we're on?
Wait. I'm not on
I'm just
Hamtramck.
teasing. I know, that's why I said it. It's just for your,
We're just in Hamtramck. Need help.
just for
I
you.
was gonna say, yeah, I was going Hamtramck because that was the direction I needed to go. But,
Oh, give 'em
but
that.
it just felt like I could use some trees.
No,
I think
well,
that's
we got
predominantly
Hamtramck,
renters.
we got Hamtramck and Burgess. Both of those are, the streets are in just, you know, bad, and they're on the city's list for repair, and when they do those, they're gonna tear everything out. So we don't wanna put stuff in before they
Okay.
tear everything out.
I had another question. The corner of West Chestnut and North Adams on the.
Doesn't feel like Christmas. Does
It's
it?
like there's the Heartland Park stuff.
Yeah,
Railroad, and then there's a big old parking lot. Looks like it's not used, and then there's grass after that, like a big.
it used to be
Lot.
parking lot and they tore it out.
Is that owned by the
Yeah.
Yeah.
park? So are they?
It's
They're gonna
Heartland
put some
Park.
of their
They're gonna-
184 trees in that corner.
Not in that, no.
Because it looks like a
it's
nice spot.
contaminated too. All the ground is contaminated.
How's it going?
Brown, what do you call brown?
Yeah, brownfield.
Is it contaminated, i.e., bad for people or bad for trees?
Definitely bad for people.
Right. So, but
So that means, I don't know. That's beyond, I know, but that's part of Heartland. It's part of that land
Yeah.
bank.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking there might be things that are in the soil that wouldn't be bad for a tree, even if we shouldn't. Like,
Well, we have to start. She told me to start 5 minutes ago, and I
sorry.
kept right on top. Good afternoon. We're gonna start, but we don't have email, we don't have Russ. So we can't vote on the minutes, so we're gonna go past that. We'll have to come back to it, maybe we'll do it next time. Right pass. All right, so, we're gonna put Brian Wade on the spot here. You thought you had about 20 trees left to go in? Are those all TCP trees?
I believe so.
So all the trees in the west end that were with the grant, those are all in as far as we know right
I
now?
believe so.
And we got this list of things we're not sure about, so we'll have to go through that on Friday.
Okay.
Okay. I say Friday, Zane and Brian and I are meeting at 8 o'clock Friday morning. We're gonna drive around town, look at things that need to be finished up with this, and then look at some of the trees that didn't do so well from last year's drought, and some of our older trees that are starting to age out. So we're gonna do a little tree survey Friday morning. So that's.
what is, when you said with that, what is that?
This is the list of trees or sites that they don't have planted yet, but we'll get all that stuff.
Oh, okay. Not for the other lists. Got you. Sorry.
Okay.
Not including that does not include CCPs.
No, this wouldn't be TCP, this was grant, that's part of the grant stuff. Okay, this is gonna be a quick meeting. I'll pass this around, the Public Square Arboretum, Zane's still working on that, he's got some things going, we've got a couple trees we have to replace. And I was down at, Good Impressions, they're gonna make the kiosk for us, and they have the ability to make things look like real trees on the kiosk.
Oh,
So I'm gonna pass that around. What they have to purchase the actual image. So once they're gonna give us a rough, and once we kind of figure it out, then we'll go through and pick the things so that everything, the trees will actually match the images on the kiosk. So that'll be kind of cool, along with the, the QR codes and all the other things. They're still working on the graphic, because I asked them to make it pretty. He said, you're probably gonna do it 5 times, but I'd like the one you give me to look cool and look nice and pretty. If pretty's a good way to say it. So they're working to try to impress me with that. It's like, good, impress me with it.
It's in their name, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
good impressions, yeah. So we're
Sorry.
still working on that. Would you guys like to see this?
I can look at it afterwards.
Okay, all right. I know we've got to replace a couple, and then to keep our numbers up, we've got, I think Zane identified 3 sites where I think we'd like to plant trees, just to get above the minimum in case something happens, so that we don't fall out of the requirements. But I didn't have that on my wish list, so there's some more things to add.
I just need to look at the irrigation plans.
Yeah, we have to look at the irrigation plans and a bunch of other stuff, yeah. Okay. I've got the historical marker on here for the Gambrier Street Park. I've gotten most of the information except the verbiage. We have to have the verbiage before we can go to city council. So that's still in the works. Maybe it'll get in this year, maybe it'll be next year. I'm still waiting on the Historical Society to finish their stuff and go from there. So I don't have a lot to say about that.
Who was actually, I thought it was people who were not part of the Historical Society doing the verbiage.
Well, I don't know.
Dick and Sam,
Yeah,
they're not.
Sam was in it, and Dick Mavis was doing it, and I guess now he's left the Historical Society.
Yeah, he's no longer a board member. They're the 2 working on the
They
verbiage?
were working on it.
Did you-
I talked to him, it's been a couple weeks ago now, and he said, we're really close to having it where we like it. It's like, okay. So until I get that, we can't go any further with that. But I put it on here just so I could throw it out there, keep everybody up with what I know on it. Questions about that, anybody?
Did you speak with the lady who has done other
Yeah,
ones?
I spoke with her, and then she directed me to get all the information. I've got that.
So that was helpful.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, and the place that's going to make it is called Seawa Studios. They're down in southern Ohio. It's SEWA. I think there's an H on the end of it. Okay, the targeted mailers. Zane came up with it. He's got this here. So this is pretty much what we're going to send. So there's one, should have had one here for everybody. If you guys would like to look at it. If you see anything on it you don't like, you want to change, now's the time. We're going to make a couple little corrections, and then it's going to go out in the mail. You can look at it and let me know here a little later, because we're going to have a quick meeting today. I'm already almost done. Yeah, there's way more. There's always more. I've got Bee City on here. Quentin, have we got anything going on with Bee City lately?
So we are at First Friday again this year. We were there 2 weeks ago,
Where are you
3
set
weeks
up?
ago. Well, the first week we weren't able to get our usual spot, but the remaining months we'll be at our normal spot just across from Bickerdykes,
Okay.
in front of La Paloma, Alcove, that kind of area. A lot of interactions as usual. We have a invasive removal event scheduled this Saturday morning. We're going to go down to the areas along Riverside, or along Kokosing near Riverside Park, where we've already done some removals and some plantings, and just tidy that up and just do what we can do by hand to remove the small honeysuckle and other things that are starting to come up. Other than that, we're kind of laying low until the fall, when it's time to go into the Delano Field of Discovery and reseed that. And we're just keeping an eye on things and always trying to keep our eyes out for any other areas we can convert into prairie. We'll also be doing the rain garden at Dan Emmett probably later this summer.
Are we calling it a bios?
It's a bioretention basin, yeah.
Okay. You said rain garden. When I talk about it, I want to say the right thing.
It's both.
but I'll probably say.
Not all rain gardens are bioretention basins, but pretty much all bioretention basins are rain gardens.
Okay. With the Illinois Field of Discovery, going to pass this around for everybody to look at. This is the rendering of the we can't really call them quadrants. What we call this, because it's based on the Indian trails. And
Areas between the trails.
areas between the trails. Yeah. So there's areas between the trails that'll go up through there, and then when we
Cells, that's a good word for it.
cell is a good
Cells,
term. Yeah, that's a good term if I remember it. When we talked, we've kind of been making a list of things that we have on our plate, and one of them was buying seed for that. So we talked about doing try to make each cell kind of unique with what's planted in it. And the big green dot in the center is going to be the rotating displays or rotating artwork or
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're we've kind of identified the areas that were settlements or where are now cities. I don't know if it's
Yes, both.
a little bit of both, kind of. So you'll see where some of the paths intersect. We'll say like this is the Mount Vernon art exhibit or this or whatever. So there'll be kind of every city will have its own little.
How did you pick which cities made it on?
Just the larger ones that made sense.
They were the ones on the trail.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it's like Chillicothe should be. on
Chillicothe
there.
is there. And that's where the
Isn't
really
it?
big one
Oh,
is.
is that where the dot is? It doesn't
Yep.
say it on there. Okay.
That's
it seems like it's
Chillicothe.
missing.
Yeah,
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
Chillicothe area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we talked about this briefly, but we seeded or you guys seeded the north side of the ditch on Beach Street. This spring, Zane and I were in there and hacked out as much of that grass as we could so that the seeds would get some sunlight and some water. And when I went by and looked, I didn't see a lot of stuff coming up.
We might not see a lot this year, even though we did use a quick growing mix that should come up this year. We might not see a lot. There's still a lot of perennials in that mix, so it could be a year or two before we see a whole lot coming up, and we can always seed it again in the fall. That was the original plan anyways, was to come back in the fall and put in a perennial mix and get some more native grasses in there too.
Okay. I know you and I talked about, but I thought everybody else ought to at least know what we talked about.
Yeah,
It's not all behind closed doors.
no.
Not all of it.
What's
Well,
the
doors are
part we're
always
missing?
open in doors are always open in engineering,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, well, you're missing the talk about White Castle and that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's true.
Important things.
A restaurant.
Food and food and different things.
You can't go to Delaware without getting White Castle.
Where we get lunch. Yeah.
Just the things that come up. Okay, anybody have any questions for Quentin about the V-City and how that's going? All right, so, thank you. Brian had brought a bag of fertilizer. He'd like to have the water truck a couple times through the winter, summer
Oh, mix that in.
to mix that in, yes. So I said, well, Randy shows up, give it to him, he can get a couple bags ordered or how much ever you need.
Where do we get that at?
AM Leonard.
AM Leonard.
We have an account with AM Leonard.
We do.
Yeah.
Where I think the 3 bags come from.
That's where the tree bags come from.
Talking about trees, because I'm gonna have to leave early.
Okay.
You said this is an early one, but something I needed to bring up and was brought up to me is, the trees on High Street and some of the others, are starting to branch out. And I know it's been said that they don't like the street department trimming them. And they need trimmed, or the street department's gonna have to trim them.
So I actually just got a quote today to take care of all the trees, all the street trees from
Mackenzie over to East Mackenzie over to Norton, maybe. All the street trees are going to be getting pruned, Randy. So that's just today. I got the quote in for that. So we will be taking care of those in short order.
So is that Chestnut down to Ohio Avenue and McKinsey to Norton?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a pretty big area.
It is. Yep. They're doing it was quoted at 2 days of work, and so it's going to be done that way as opposed to per individual tree. But we're going to try and get all the ones that need trimming up done in those 2 days. So that is taken care of. Yep.
I will pass it on. Thank
Yep. You're welcome.
So with tree trimming in mind, I talked to Tom Hinkle a while ago, and he's doing that tree trimming program that everybody in the park and streets are involved in, the 2 1-week programs. And if I recall that correctly, it was mainly utility trimming.
Yeah, line clearance.
Line clearance,
Line
that was it.
clearance trimming for being able to trim within a certain distance of power lines and stuff.
So now that they'll have that knowledge, though, they should be able to trim with some responsibility. Trim, know how to
Some
trim.
people's responsibilities compared to
Yeah,
other people's
yeah.
is different.
I know, it's
That's where-
like when
That's
someone's.
where they got enough stuff to do. As long as we can keep it, and from engineering side of things, we'll handle it that way.
Okay,
Yeah, except for
never-
one-offs here and there.
yeah.
We can do.
And
But
anything with utility, they would be ready to go and be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Responsibility is like odd, what's odd to one person is perfectly normal to somebody else.
well, yeah, not to throw all the city trees on. The
No,
road,
no,
so-
it's not. We're not throwing anybody under the bus. It was just.
No.
Well, doing a beauty prune of a tree is
It's a lot
bit of an
different,
art.
too.
So
Yeah.
we're only getting a chainsaw and cutting a tree down twice a month. It's not the same as somebody who's doing it every day.
Yeah, you want someone with an
Knows what
ISA
they're doing.
certification or who is working towards an ISA certification, who has proper techniques in pruning for different species and different circumstances, and so on and so forth. A 2-week training really isn't the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Water truck's working great.
Yeah, I mean, since we got it,
Where it starts.
electrical system figured out, it's no problem.
It's been being able to shut it off. You think that's been
But yeah, it's definitely helped.
not only a fuel saver, but it just.
Yeah.
And then, since that sat up high in, I haven't looked at it since it's been installed in the dump truck. Are they? How bad?
I
You and I
modified
talked
it,
about
so,
putting a
yeah.
platform in or something.
So it brought the reels down and turned them and put them on and running the tailgate on it, flat,
Okay.
and so they're down at that.
So they're not up on top of the rack. They're down.
No, they couldn't reach them more the way we probably should have looked at that a little better, I think, but it's working out now, so.
Yeah, you buy something, then you modify it to make it work for you.
Yeah, make it work for the best.
It's still a much better situation than we were in.
Yeah.
Very good. So, I guess with the fertilizer, just figure out how much you need.
How much do we need to have?
Oh, I'd like to get started with maybe 500 pounds or something.
But you had a bag for, it's a 500-gallon tank, so you guys got?
It's a little bigger, but we don't fill it clear up.
I'll talk to me after. If you're not here, talk to me later.
Yeah, I'll get with you to see what we can.
And that's a steel bag, so if you don't use it all, it'll keep till next year. So.
Yeah, well, once you figure out what you want, let's get together and get it with them.
We want to be about 100 parts per million on nitrogen, so you gotta figure it all out, how much it takes per.
How much they're putting in.
100 ppm.
Quinn will do it right now. He'll whip it out.
Can do it. Give me a second, I'll do the math.
Okay, anything else with tree watering? Did they get the tree at Arrow Foundation Park going up behind the pavilion?
Yeah, the last call I got on it, they had actually done it the day before.
Okay.
So,
Because I got emails too, and it was like, okay. Well, then I called you again. You love hearing from me, I know.
it's all right. That's how we know.
Okay. Well, and with A.M. Leonard in mind, one thing I'd like to do, and we can't vote on it because we don't have enough people here, is I'd like to get tree guards for the trees at Arrow Foundation Park, the 68 we put in the setback area, and the 68 that we put at Hiawatha Park. And they're not like, it's not like the plastic pipe, it's more of a grid, about a 3-inch square plastic grid. They come in sheets, 15 inches, you just wrap them around and wire, and zip tie them together. We can put those around the tree. They won't affect the bark, they'll keep the deer off of it, and they can be on there for several years. They're sturdy enough that they can last for a few years. So we can buy them in lots of 50, and I think we would need 3 lots, $150, or 150 trees, and I think it was 125 for things, so that'd be 375-ish, unless I can work a deal with them. If we're buying chemicals from them, I might be able to get a better deal, getting a package.
I'm sorry, you said, but how many do you want to buy?
I'm gonna buy 150 of them.
Can I ask who's gonna be putting these on?
I think it'll probably be me.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of cages still sitting out at the shop that were never used.
Those are those wire cages, yeah, that we use for the chestnuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, they're too big and open for putting around a tree.
Keep
But-
the deer off.
Keep the deer off. But we're gonna keep we wanna hold on to those yet. And then we still have some of the plastic, pipe,
Yeah, sleeve or, yeah, whatever.
yeah, sleeves or pipes, whatever we wanna call them. That we probably should put on some other trees around, but as we find them. Well, the fleeting thought through like a falling star.
Those can actually be cut shorter if you wanna put them on trees, protect them from the weeds and stuff.
Cause I've seen some of them, I mean, not really the new ones, but even some that's been out there here lately.
Yeah, you walk in the labyrinth and they're just they're ringed them in.
And you say something, and you say something, and, oh, I didn't do that, and it's frustrating, but.
But yeah, when it comes to those other tree guards, I'll probably put my boots on, and hopefully there's not a lot of poison ivy.
Ticks.
Yeah, well, thanks.
We was out last week, and it was more ticks than poison ivy, I think.
Okay. Another thing that's on my other list is the sequoias. You know, we talked about that. We wound up getting a bid for the fence to put around, and we've talked about that. Unfortunately, the fence probably won't go in until end of July, first part of August. So the sequoias are gonna be a fall project. Once we get the fence in, we'll go in and lay out a grid, and we've talked about doing it several different ways. Making a hole, you know, cutting the sod, making a hole where each tree goes, and then covering it up with landscape fabric, and coming back and cutting a little X and planting the tree in it. Or making the X big enough to take the sod out, but I'm thinking the smaller the X, the better. It gives the weeds less chance to come through. So we'll have to work that out. When that project comes along, we're gonna need all hands on deck.
How big are the saplings?
2 inches.
Oh, wow.
You know, they're not very big. You know, we were hoping to, you know, get them in this summer and have a season of growing, so we'll see how it goes. Get the fence in first, and then we can go from there. All right. So, where's my picture? There's, with Captain's Hunter Landing, there's a sidewalk goes between Captain Hunter's Landing and the Rotary Playground, and they'd like to do an arch, something like this. Not necessarily exactly, but something like that, that would say Hunter's Landing on one side and Rotary Playground on the other.
Where is that?
You haven't been down to the splash pad and played around?
Oh, okay, I didn't know it was called.
Isn't it here, Captain Hunter's Landing?
Captain Hunter's Landing.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, the name
Yeah.
threw me off.
Get up with it, geez.
Well, it's because there's no sign. That's why you don't know what it's.
Yeah,
in.
you-
So
that's
we're
why you
trying to
don't
fix
know.
that.
I was
This
wondering.
is,
I was like, Mallard Point?
This- yeah, this is a rendition of what they're talking about on Main Street after all the construction's done.
Right.
So it looks similar to that. So that's on the agenda. Then, here it is. We talked about Arbor Day when we were walking Martinsburg Road. And you said, gee, wouldn't Arbor Day be great at the Career Center and get some trees in front of that? And I agree. I think that's a great thing, and I think I still definitely want to get some trees there. But when I was talking with Zane last week, I opened up the Mount Vernon News, and the Salvation Army is doing a big addition, adding a preschool and a bunch of stuff down there. So I went down and talked with her, and said, we would like to put some trees in around your property and in your playground.
The Ohio Avenue area.
Yeah,
Okay.
at no cost to you, and she just about cried. No, she didn't just about cry, but she was very excited. They were very happy for that. So I think what we'll do is do Arbor Day at the Salvation Army. That way they'll get trees in their playground, around their building, around their new parking lots, and dress them up a little bit, and we'll do Arbor Day.
Could we do as a project the trees along Martinsburg Road in front of that, but then have an Arbor Day like a year later and plant special trees at the Career Center? You know what I mean? Like get some going along the sidewalk
Oh, we
without
definitely
it
want to
being
get,
Arbor Day.
yeah, we definitely want to get some going. Yeah, it's on the list. The plan. It's on the master plan. You know, we don't really have a master plan, but it's on the, I guess, wish list was the best way to think of it. 'Cause we just sat down and I said, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see this. And I know you mentioned Coshocton Avenue, getting some trees out in there. That's gonna take a lot of legwork. I didn't put that on the list this year because I don't think we have time. But if that's something we really wanna get at, we'd have to get it at like at the first of the year.
Right.
Get started early. Because there's so many corporate people out through there and the bureaucracy of getting through things.
Yeah, it seems like it could be done in two segments, the like sort of residential-ish to the edge of.
Well, we did the
Before
rest
Like
of
Kroger.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Downtown to Kroger.
Right. Or,
We
and then-
we did that section a few years ago, but yes, it could use some more trees. The
Did you
residential.
do it, but like not many people took you up on the offer? Is that
Yeah.
Well, that's a stretch that there's been a lot of home sales,
So,
especially on the south side of
Yes.
Coshocton in the last year.
So that might open it up some more, yeah. Yeah, because when people change, things change.
yeah, I've got links.
Okay, so I talked about that, I talked about that.
Collective.
What'd you think of the letter? Did you get a little minute to
Yeah,
look it
it's
over
getting
since we
done
have time?
Thursday.
I appreciate the addition about in the coming months.
That
Yes.
one across the street.
And we said it's a potentially a two-year project, because it's pretty large scale. When we look at the entire west end, we look at Mansfield Avenue, which includes Marma and Emmett and
All done this year.
something
We'll
else,
need to
all
go
the
through it.
streets there by the school, and then clear out at the Clinton Road, Fern Avenue, Grange Avenue,
Grange
because
Avenue.
all the work we've done out there, so it's a substantial base. So there's potentially a lot of trees there, so that's why we kind of said, you know, I think it says 2-year, the original.
Sorry, where does it say to?
Yeah, where does it say it? Did I take
I
that
don't
out
know
now?
that I
and
saw
talk about
that.
My only, this is like just an editorial comment. They'll be planting trees along your neighborhood?
Yeah.
Where's that?
That's the
First
first
sentence.
line.
Yeah.
That seems like a weird,
it? Yeah, how about, yeah,
In.
yeah.
So this might be a long shot, but is there a way
Something close.
that there could be something on a website or something they could go to so they could see how the tree planting was progressing? Like, that way people can see like maybe where the things are going?
all the things
Or
that
is
popped
that
up on the
like
map.
too like,
Like you click
Advanced.
a year and then the next year at a different color, more trees come on, like that would be really cool.
An overlay kind of a thing?
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So we're looking to do a new, we inventoried all the street trees, city-owned trees, 2017, something like that, and we're in talks of doing another survey like that. And we're also gonna start surveying all shade tree trees being planted every year. And so we will be able to do that. We'll have that data. So we can certainly just click a button and
We won't be able
show
to go
that.
and figure out what it was for the last year's, but we will do it going forward.
Yeah, we can do it starting from.
Right, but as trees are getting planted for that year or whatever,
Mhm.
like when we know that they're in, add them so people could see like
Yep.
maybe where they are instead of maybe people who might be a little impatient.
I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of a
Lots of
lag.
phone
They're not
calls.
Yeah,
always
I was
do it,
gonna
like,
say.
the same day.
Yeah,
Right, no, not the same day, but like, you
Within a
know,
month.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
gonna say
or a
it-
couple weeks or something that they could see that.
It might be more
they're
of a bulk edit
coming
than
up.
like keep up every time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
once
not
at the
every
end of the
single one,
season.
but
Yeah.
just like a general
A
kind of
lot of
like.
that will depend on their seasonals and as time allows, because it, you know, it takes half a day to go out and survey.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
for
100
sure.
trees or whatever it is. So yeah, but ideally, yeah, we can most certainly do that. But we will, at the very least, be able to do every year see the progression at the very least of all the new trees and projects.
That would be
and
really.
everything.
It'd be cool if you can like make each year sort of a different color, so you can see the
Yeah, that's all doable. Yep.
additions
I have
over
grand
time.
plans for a whole shade tree, or whole Mount Vernon's urban forestry page.
Have our own page.
Yeah.
We're moving up in the world.
Okay, next to podcast.
You good at those, are you?
No, so that's for Dr. Brown to do.
Isn't that what this is?
I was
Sort
thinking
of?
of TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
Tree dance.
I don't know how to dance.
Hey, you do it.
Yeah.
They don't either.
Well,
Have you seen it?
No, I can do the tree dance, yeah.
What if we started every meeting with a tree dance?
Might resign.
I've got nothing to talk about.
Well, I appreciate your input. But
We don't
yeah,
have enough members to vote, so.
yeah, we don't have enough members to vote, yeah. But I like the idea of being able to go, you know, a place where someone could look and see. Now, if, you know, I requested a tree, but I don't know what everybody else has done. So I look on there and everybody else has a tree and I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure that
I'm on the
helps.
phone. Well, my neighbor got a tree and I don't have one yet. You know, it can go both ways. But I think having that data out there for people would be kind of cool. Because what was your number, 19%
Yeah,
canopy?
yeah.
We're only 19% canopy here in the city. That's
Well,
really low.
like I said, driving down East Hamtramck and some streets like that where I don't normally go, I was like, there are not many. I mean, you know, I'm sure in the old days, pre-air conditioning, there's a tree in front of every house, if
Yeah.
not more.
Yeah,
Well,
a
even
lot of
my
them,
street lost a lot of like the old sugar maples. I mean, we still have several, but you can tell.
Nothing like it used to be.
Yeah, especially where the power lines got put in and stuff.
But yeah, that would be kind of, but we're at 19% tree canopy, which bodes in our favor for our grants. We ask for grants.
I'd like to see 30 in 10 years. That's my goal.
Is there sort of an average percentage for cities of a certain size?
I don't know it, but I'm sure that data is obtainable. Well, I know it's obtainable because you could do the study, but I don't know if it's already been calculated. I'm not sure.
What gets us is we have some cornfields that are in the city.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of ag in Corp limit, which of course you can't have trees in a farm field. That's always going to hurt us. We'll do what we can.
Yep, that's all we can do. Well, I've run through the list that I had for today. I'm pleased that you're getting the trees in. So with Main Street, the tree just south of La Paloma, you looked at that to see if you could pull that out? Good. I'd rather have a hole there or a bare spot than that dead tree. And then,
This is like a forward-looking question, but on some of the city streets where there are no trees, there's also like no tree lawn, but some sidewalks have like the, you know,
Where trees
square
used to be.
removed with a tree well or whatever you call it, and some have absolutely nothing, all like concrete. Is there any chance in the future for those types of streets to ever get spots for trees? Like,
Definitely,
how does
yeah.
that work on the city's plan?
I mean, it's doable. It's expensive.
Is
Utilities are going to always be an issue there. You can't put a tree where the utilities are running, not those kind of trees where utilities running, because you're going to have to replace most of that soil in that pit if you were to dig one. But the short answer is yes, it's possible. We have so many other areas we're looking to plant first, so it would be somewhat long-term. I am starting to ask new development to put in tree pits in front of their properties, like the news building, for example, that's being converted to the dining hall. I made that request to them. So future development is something that we can ask for, but.
I guess I was noticing like on West Gambier, right near Mulberry Street, it just seems like
Yeah.
they're not even tree pits or tree wells.
We got a plan for West Gambier Street, so.
Yay,
Just you wait.
Okay, just, okay. Jumping the gun.
And here's something just as a reference. It's been 3 years ago now. They were working there at La Paloma on a side street, and they were redoing the sidewalk in there. And I got hold of Brian, and we got it worked out, and they dug a tree pit, and there's a tree there now. It cost $600 to make that hole for that tree. That was 3 years ago.
I don't doubt there's a cost, but I guess the long-term
Yeah,
benefit
well,
is.
just so you kind of know what we paid in the past, and you
Right.
know it's going to be more.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing those kind of things, that limits what we can do other places.
Yeah. It's always possible, and it's something I would like to do. And like I said, if new development is happening, it's something I'm asking for. But as far as a shade tree project, it probably won't be for a while.
But luckily West Gambier has a plan, apparently.
Yes.
We have all kinds of plans.
Yeah.
West Gambier has a plan from Maine to Mulberry. Ish.
Good idea.
Since we got a couple minutes, I'll ramble on a little more. They're gonna do, Sandusky Street still gonna start in 26, is that still the timeline?
Yeah.
So it'll be start in 26, finish in 27, or finish in 26?
I don't want to confirm that without the schedule in front of me.
Okay,
I believe it would be 27.
okay. So, well, there's already plans for trees and all that along that whole development, but when you look from Sandusky Street east to Mulberry Street, that's a very barren area through all those streets.
Right.
So when we talk about and start doing Sandusky Street, we need.
Go on each side of it.
On each side of it, I think. But
It even feels like Mulberry Street has some along when you're coming south, but then the next parking lot, and there are none along that section. Yeah, it's kind
it's a work in progress. We have two empty tree pits on, say that on Mulberry Street. One at Gambier and one at Ohio.
Gambier one's planned. I think that was one that didn't do well there or something. We looked at it last time you and I drove.
Is that oak?
I think so, or it was. It's nothing now. I don't know the other one.
It's in
But-
front of the dental office there.
Okay, we can look at it on Friday when we all go out to inspect.
All right, well, you know what, I appreciate you guys for showing up, putting in your 2 cents. Too bad we can't vote on anything. Maybe we'll have April here next time too. Bring us nice color notes. We don't get this from Judy. No.
That was from Rachel.
Thank you.
Just having fun with you. No, it's great. I appreciate you coming and helping out.
She has 18 working days left, but her
Yeah,
technical
about
last day is not until like October or something. Like,
You got it all this week. Should be back next week. And then she'll be here for
Is there a
4 weeks.
new person lined up, or is that?
No.
Are you-
No.
No?
We haven't
No.
advertised the job yet.
No.
So, we need to do
Rachel and April are interim, and they do a great job. So.
April told me no. All right. Anything else?
I've got nothing.
I appreciate your work. I do. You guys worked hard. We didn't get where we are because you're not doing things.
Yeah, what you were saying earlier, when you started this, your budget was $2,000 and one person.
Oh, yeah, when
and-
I
Yeah.
started in 2009, we got $2,500 was our budget.
And did that buy like?
We
100
were excited to
trees?
get trees in the ground. We didn't water them or anything. We just were happy to get them in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Our budget's a little more than that now.
But you know, one thing that I've been thinking about is now the city limit's all wonky. We were talking about how we could somehow find funds to make it like a geographical area that we work in. Any progress on anything?
Oh,
Any
like going
thoughts about
outside
that?
the city limits?
Yeah, you know, like the side is the city and the side isn't.
Yeah, even if it's the same street,
Yeah, how wonky.
like Tilden, for example, or something like that.
We can use grant funds for that.
We have city money that we can use on city property.
Right.
We have grant funds we can use on private property
Or non-city.
or
public.
non-city property. So yes, we can do things.
So should we try to come up with a,
Just take the current corp limit, draw a
Yep.
circle that touches all the points.
There you go.
okay.
We can build a convex hull out of the
Yeah,
map that we have.
which
A
pretty
what?
much just fills in the gaps, essentially, is what it means.
You wanna do that?
I mean, I don't know if I can do it, but
Get,
You can do it.
we can get you a map and you can go sit there and color it in and then code it.
it might be above me.
We can teach you.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of crayons at my house.
Yeah, all you need is a crayon or a colored pencil. You can
Yeah.
make it look good.
No protractor.
Hey, you want
If
to
you
get
want
that
it to be
fancy?
really precise, sure.
Yeah, you want to get real fancy, you can do that. All right, well, we can't, we didn't really officially start the meeting and we can't really officially end it, can
Oh, we can't adjourn it without enough people.
we? Yeah, we can't adjourn without enough people. Can we?
I have no idea.
Or just a couple people talking about trees on the internet.
Yeah. And I just say things.
Good
One of
for-
these days I'll get caught on that.
You want me to go ahead and stop this?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and adjourn, or officially adjourn our unofficial meeting.
There you go.
One of the things that I saw in here is we are listed as the Shade Tree Commission.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
messed up a
But
couple
in-
words.
in a couple places
interchangeably.
where